All of these different programs across the entire country, either offered on the federal level or on the state level, are generally pegged to the federal poverty level or the federal poverty guideline. Again, it's interchangeable. It depends on what you want to say, but it's all referring to the same numbers here. Now, these dollar amounts increased by 1.98% from 2025 until 2026. We were anticipating nearly a 5% increase, but it increased just under 2% for the entire year. So what that's telling us is that, well, the federal poverty line didn't really go up all that much, a few dollars for the entire year. That's it, okay? Now, the reason that we want the federal poverty line to increase is because if it didn't increase each and every year as incomes rise, which I know that seems weird, like, what? Incomes aren't rising? Well, if you're receiving a fixed income benefit, and if you maybe got the cost of living adjustment, which drop a comment down below, did you get the COLA? I bet you did. Bet you didn't feel it though, because it's probably all taken away from you in the variety of all these different expenses that are coming out of your payment. But drop a comment down below. Let me know. Did you see your COLA increase hit your monthly benefit check quite yet, right? And it should have by now. But my point being is that federal poverty line continues to increase because if it didn't, it would actually reduce accessibility for a lot of people to a bunch of these different federal and state programs that are out there. Anyway, let's pop this up right here, right now. Feel free to look through the details. This is a screenshot right off of the HHS website, Health and Human Services website. It's a screenshot right off their website. But this shows the federal poverty line, federal poverty guideline, again, whatever you want to say, for the different household sizes. Now, the household size of one has a federal poverty guideline in 2026, right here, right now, of $15,960. Federal poverty guideline for a household of two, $21,640. Going out to a household of four, $33,000 even. And as you can see there on the screenshot, you know, it goes right down the list all the way up to a household of 8 or 9 individuals. And then it basically just says, hey, if your household has more people than that, just add a flat, you know, 5,000 something odd dollars per individual. Okay, now why do we care about these numbers so incredibly much? And why do I talk about these every so often? Your eligibility for a whole variety of programs that I've rattled off in other videos, again, SNAP benefits, WIC benefits, LIHEAP, LIHWAP, ACP, WAP, TANF, the list goes on and on. Those are just a handful of them that I can think of off the top of my head right now. But those are all acronyms for other low-income programs that are out there. Basically, food assistance program, a housing assistance program, utility program. What else is there that I mentioned? Internet programs. Again, these are all assistance programs specifically focused on low-income people that have an income at or below that threshold that I just gave you with the new federal poverty guidelines for 2026. Does that make sense? Again, $15,960 for a household of one, $21,640 for a household of two, $33,000 even for a household of four. And again, the list goes on and on. But the reason we want to watch these so very closely is because if your income is below that, you have a lot of availability. And again, I don't want to sit here and act like, oh, it's so easy to get these programs. I don't want to act that way because it's not easy. We all recognize this. To be accepted for and start getting some benefits from some of these programs is honestly a huge headache. We recognize this. It's not easy. There's a mountain of paperwork. It takes forever to get qualified. It takes forever to get benefits granted to you. And a lot of the times it's like, is this even worth $23 a month or whatever it happens to be? Like SNAP benefits, right? $23 a month. Is it really worth jumping through all these flaming hoops to get $23? You know what I mean? On a monthly basis. But my point is, it's not easy. But if your income is below the federal poverty line, the likelihood of getting benefits or getting assistance from one of these programs is significantly greater because you're below the federal poverty guideline. You're below the federal poverty line. Therefore, they have a ton of programs that are out there. And again, like I said, a lot of these are federal programs, but there's also a ton of state programs that are available as well across the country in all these different respective states out there, right? Now, going up above the federal poverty line, some access to programs is still available. For example, like the SNAP program, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, right? You can have income up to 130% of the federal poverty guideline, but that's it, right? They draw the line at 130. 130% of the federal poverty line, that's it. You're cut off at that point. And again, some of the programs, depending on what they are, maybe they go up to a little higher than that. Maybe it's 150% of the federal poverty line, something like that. But for the most part, they use the federal poverty guideline to determine eligibility for essentially all of the programs out there. It is the baseline, it's the benchmark, it's the line in the sand that they use. Therefore, we want to keep an eye on it as it continues to increase or stay the same, whatever it happens to be, from year to year, because at the end of the day, the tens of millions of people out there, about 40 million people, by the way, that are below the federal poverty guideline, which is a lot of people, which is really weird as well. I can make a whole other dedicated video talking about that, which is, why is there 40 million people in poverty below the federal poverty line, right? Does that make any sense? Does that seem kind of weird? Or is it just me? Am I just the weirdo here, right? Or does it seem weird as a concept that 40 million people, that like 12 or something percent of our population is in poverty? Does that seem weird? Like 12 out of every 100 people walking around the streets is in poverty. Something about that seems very weird.